Hello, Dublin, East Dublin, and all our viewers all over Middle Georgia. Newswatch 35 is straight ahead. Congratulations to our 10 and under All-Stars from Dublin-Orange County. They are the All-Star State Champions. That group of girls right there, they did a great job this weekend right here at Southern Pines. Congratulations, Brian Stokes, Damian Moss, and all the coaching staff and all those young ladies right there that worked hard all year and brought home this state championship trophy. Congratulations. Also, this week, we have a new assistant police chief here in the city of Dublin, voted this past Friday by the Dublin City Council, our brand new assistant police chief, Mr. Tim Chapman. Okay, I have with me Tim Chapman, the new assistant police chief in Dublin, and we talk about coming full circle. You started out right over here in East Dublin, Georgia, working the beat every day. And
that's right.
Did you ever dream of being a police chief? Was that an ultimate goal, or you just love law enforcement?
Well, that was my goal. Once I got into law enforcement, got my feet wet, got an understanding of the job, as I grew older, got a little bit wiser, started trying to map out my career, and I set my sights real high. And I'm just blessed to be able to meet, one of the goals in life that I had set.
You come from, of course, you come from the GBI, to me, one of the top agencies. Of course, I'm partial anyway.
And so am I.
One of the top agencies in the whole country.
Yes.
And we were talking off camera. I've been through Eastman and Macon and just have a unbelievable respect for our Georgia Bureau of Investigation. So you bring a lot more back to Dublin than you left with, don't you?
Absolutely. When I left my toolbox, I had some tools in my box, but been exposed for 22 years on a high level. I was trained very well and received a lot of wisdom and knowledge. And I feel blessed to be able to bring those tools back to Dublin, Georgia, and implement those here.
What's changed since, of course, I guess you got 32 years or so in law enforcement, the way I figured, but what's changed in those 32 years?
Well, a lot has changed. The mindsets of the people, the younger generation, seem like they place no value on human life and other people's property. I guess that's the disconnect with the generations.
Well, some of those kids watching us right now, what do you want them to learn from you and what you can do for this community?
What I want them to learn is don't be a follower, but be a leader. Most of the time, I see a lot of crimes committed by people who were following the wrong crowd. They were talked into doing something they really didn't want to do. But in order to fit in, they took a chance on doing that just to be, welcome or embraced into something, even though it was wrong. And so I really want them to change their mindset, because that's it. As a man thinketh, so he becomes. And really find their self-worth and their value.
Okay, as assistant police chief, what are your responsibilities and duties?
Well, my job description is very detailed. I have oversight of the whole police department, if you will, assisting the chief of police, Wayne Kane, in duties, and it goes on and on. So got to learn how to, work that and not, get bogged down or burnt out in the process.
And speaking of Chief Kane, y'all go way back.
Yes.
Speaking of those 32 years, I know you started in East Dublin a couple of years and then went to work for the city of Dublin.
Yes.
You know Wayne very good. What's that relationship like?
Our relationship has been good throughout my career. He's a good guy. He's a compassionate guy. He's very smart as well. And I've always cherished that. On duty, off duty, professional, outside the workplace has been good for me, good for him.
One of the changes since we were younger is where our Dublin Police Department is, which I personally thought was one of the best moves City Council has made in recent years. What do you think about that?
It's awesome, and what really amazed me is how far the police department has advanced under his leadership. When I was here, it was a good police department. When you come down to the case file process and the management, where it is now, it's amazing.
One of the hardest things, I don't understand how police officers work child crimes, and especially the way our world is now, abusing children. How do you handle stuff like that?
Well, I have a background also with GBI as a child abuse specialist, and it's a very difficult case to investigate if you allow your feelings to get involved.
That's where I have trouble.
Yes, and when you're looking at a child who's been sexually molested by an adult, or a child who's been beaten to death, and you see their lifeless body there, you have to channel that energy into the right perspective in order to get a confession from that individual. You got to know how to talk with a suspect. Even if they're guilty, if you treat them like they're human, in spite of that, you're able to have good success. That comes from training and wisdom, because you can get more with sugar than you can with salt.
Yeah, and that's got to be tough, because in a lot of ways you got to mirror that suspect.
Yes.
But it's hard to put yourself in the place of someone who you know is, for lack of a better word, a sick individual
Right.
to molest children. I mean, that's got to be some of the lowest people in our community that do that. And the recent case we had, well, the Candy Man, we're all familiar with that
Yes,
right here in
yes,
Dublin.
yes.
Our detectives at the city of Dublin, all those guys, Richard Brandt and Mark Bell, all of them did an excellent job.
Yes.
But you got to say hats off to them, because
Yes.
that is something that is such a problem in our communities now.
Yes, yes, and as I said, it's how you approach that case, and dealing with it afterwards becomes the challenge. You got to know how to talk your way through those emotions and channel them in the right perspective, because you never know when you have to deal with that individual again. Hopefully not, but if they reoffend, if you have somewhat of a positive interaction with that individual, you're more apt to have good success with it.
And being with the GBI, I'm sure you got a great relationship with Sheriff Harold, Chief
Yes.
Lukey over in
Yes,
East Dublin.
yes.
How will that help you in this position?
Oh, man, they bring a whole lot of wisdom to the table. It's good to be able to reach out to the sheriff, or in my case, Georgia State Patrol. Those guys are like family there. My office was over there when I was in Dublin, but my main office was at headquarters. But it's good to be able to reach out to people who know what to expect. And I'm also grateful that I have Wayne there, too, that I can also in-house ask questions if I want an outside opinion. It's just good to have that group around you.
Absolutely. People you can trust.
Yes, yes.
And, of course, I understand from the law enforcement community, Chief Lukey is one of the finest detectives in the county. What would you say about that?
Well, I don't know him to be the finest in the area like that. I don't know that part of him.
Right.
When I was at East Dublin, we worked more uniform traffic division. Yes, sir.
And you worked in East Dublin 2 years?
Yes, sir. 2 years.
Some of the names, we mentioned Artis Barnes a while ago,
Absolutely.
old friend. Who's some
Absolutely.
other people you worked with there?
Dan Sims, Herman Mueller, just to name a few, and it goes on.
And so what is the greatest challenge you got ahead of you?
Well, learn the system, being able to tie everything together, community-oriented policing, that speaks of community involvement, making them a shareholder of the city, to invest in, take responsibilities for their communities, be the eyes and ears. So we want to bridge that gap and be able to continue the good work that has already begun. And we're excited about that process. It's a challenge, but I'm excited about working towards that goal to meet them.
Do we have a gang problem? I know you have gangs everywhere, but do we have a gang problem in Dublin?
Well, you got to understand, I've been gone for a while, and I can only relate what was told to me. If it's according to who you ask. Some say that there's a serious gang problem. Some say it's just mediocre, some wannabes. I'm not in a position to say at this time. This is my second day on the job here.
Right, yeah.
So it's a lot of information coming in. If you ask me a month from now, I'll probably be able to give you a better answer to that.
Well, as I've told Chief Kane, I'm all over the city every day. I've never been scared, never been in fear, never felt threatened. So a lot of people just talk sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what you were saying right there. But then again, you know, it's how you treat people.
Yes.
You know, it don't matter, just going back to you talking about interrogating somebody. Right. You know, it's all how you treat that person. Even though they've committed a crime, they're still a human being, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I want to reiterate, it may be a crime problem. I don't know. But going back to what you just said, I found in my profession as a special agent, my last assignment for the last 12 years, I conducted polygraphs. Mm-hmm. And I found that most of the time is the communication. I teach interviews, interrogations, and I deal with a psychological approach to that. Mm-hmm. That's fight, flight, and freeze. Normally, a person is more apt to talk with you when you create the right atmosphere. If you go in, you know, yelling and disrespecting the person, normally you won't get anything. Mm-hmm. That's that old way. Mm-hmm. But today, you got to be able to talk with somebody and treat them like they're human. And the bottom line, they are. They just made a bad decision. Mm-hmm. Whether they intended to make it or whether or not accident, it was made. And if you're able to deal with them in that nature, you're able to take that conversation to another level.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that hollering and yelling is just like anything. You know, there's no dialogue.
Right. There's
no way to have any interaction. You probably get right back what you give them, don't you?
Absolutely. You and I both, we wouldn't like anyone yelling to us.
No, sir.
And it causes us to do what? Shut down. But when you keep the communication highway open, there is you're able to transition and have dialogue and get somewhere, because the end result is bringing a resolution to that case.
And finally, we've got a great police department in the city of Dublin. We mentioned Chief Kane, but all the men and women. What have you found since you got back a couple of days ago?
Well, already I've discovered that they do have the mind to go as high as we can push them to go. The commitment, the professionalism. I'm excited about the new changes that we're trying to implement, step at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we have a process. These guys and gals are very, very willing, and these officers are just awesome. So far, you know, I've had a good time in these 2 days sitting down and talking with each one about career path, mm-hmm. and it's been awesome.
And we're out here in front of the registrar's office here at the courthouse annex, where early voting is going on through this Friday at 5 o'clock. The polls will open next Tuesday, 7 until 7. We've got a couple of important elections from the primary this past May, and you say, man, this past May, all this time has passed. Yes, we have a runoff, and I want you to understand now, those who didn't vote in the primary can still vote. Now, if you voted in the primary in May, however you claimed, if you voted Republican, you got to vote Republican. If you voted Democrat, you got to vote Democrat. But we got two important elections. Number one is that U.S. Senate race between David Perdue and Jack Kingston.
How can the trend toward more people dependent on welfare and public assistance be reversed?
You know, the crisis that we have right now in America is that we have the smallest percentage of people working since the Jimmy Carter era. Now, that's a tragedy. I know a lot of those people. The problem is that the administration's policies and this Congress have put a program out that is keeping small businesses from going. Dodd-Frank needs to be repealed. Obamacare needs to be repealed. Those things are keeping the economy from growing. If the economy grows, demand for jobs goes up, and guess what happens? More people go to work. I mean, people want to push people into work. Well, you have to have jobs. You have to be trained for those jobs. And what's missing right now is that we don't have the economy lifting, but primarily because of bad government policies. Let me give you an example. Right now we have $6 trillion on the sidelines in this United States economy. Now, it's a $16 trillion economy, but $6 trillion are not at play. largely because of bad government policies. We have over $2 trillion in foreign banks. These are U.S. profits because we're the only developed country that double taxes repatriated profits. Now, no one in this race is talking about that. That is an easy thing to correct. The second is Dodd-Frank has pushed more money on the balance sheets of small banks unnecessarily and is not being moved into small businesses to create loans, to create jobs, and get economic growth. And then you've got the Russell 1000, the largest companies in the country, have $2 trillion on their balance sheet because of the uncertainty that's created by the EPA, Dodd-Frank, and Obamacare. So we have an entire economy that is confused right now because of this inconsistency that's being put out by Congress and by this administration right now. I'm a business guy, and I know I don't care what the rules are, just don't change them on me in the middle of the game. And that's what's been happening.
So many people now depend on public assistance. How can we reverse that trend?
Well, I think what we've got to do is sometimes I feel like we're the party that sells broccoli competing with a party that gives away ice cream. And what we have to do is convince people that broccoli is better for you in the long run. And so what I believe that we have to do is say, if you're able to work, if you're able-bodied and you're on public assistance, there should be a work requirement. Now, a lot of people on the left don't like that, but we've actually done this before, and what the net results was, not only did the welfare rolls decrease, but people got their own dignity back because they like being independent and not having to count on a government handout. So I think you have to have a little bit of tough love out there. Drug testing for people who are on unemployment. If you're getting paid unemployment insurance, you ought to be job ready when the opportunity comes along. And if you're taking drugs, you're not job ready. And so some of this is common sense. And I think we can get there. The other part of it is just to make sure that there are enough jobs out there for people. And that would mean developing North American energy. It means a tax code that's simple, that stimulates businesses to grow. And then pushing back on these regulations. Obamacare has not done anything for jobs. Businesses have laid off people. They've quit insuring spouses of employees and so forth. All these regulations kill jobs, and we've got to push back on them.
Also, we have a very important superintendent's race. On the Republican side, we have front-runner Mike Buck going against Richard Woods. And on the Democratic side, front-runner Valerie Wilson going head-to-head with Alicia Morgan. Well, football season is right around the corner. Can you believe it? In the height of this summer, in July, that football is less than a month away. That's right. We're going to kick it off here August 8th. We've got a scrimmage game between East Laurens and Montgomery County. And before you know it, the season will be well underway and football will be here. And we're going to kick it off next Monday night, July 21st, 7 o'clock. Brewster's Ice Cream. We're going to be having an ice cream eating contest between all the players. We've got 2 players from each school. We'll have represented Trinity Christian School, East Laurens High School, West Laurens High School, and Dublin High School. And we're going to see who can eat the most ice cream. We want you to come out to Brewster's next Monday night. We're going to have football players and cheerleaders and band members and spectators. And you come on out and be with us as we kick off this football season with our very first ice cream bowl. We're going to determine the county championship before football season gets started. And a big thank you to all our friends, David Williams, all of them out at 441 Speedway, where this past weekend during the Tracy Mims Memorial Race. Here's our winners from this past Saturday night in the Super Street. It was first place Kelly Guy, Justin Sapp, and Jimmy Sharp Jr. bringing up second and third. In the Pure Stock division, first place Danny Rycroft. Also in second place Buddy Piper. Third place Jason Floyd. In the Bomber division, it was Chad Graham taking home the first place trophy, followed by Seth Clark and Kylie Avery. In the Crate division, it was Jimmy Thomas first place, Bob Robertson second place, and Jordy Nipper coming in third place. In the National Late Model Series, it was Brian Ligon, Ben Faircloth, and Stephen Roberts. And in the Sportsman division, first place Joseph Brown, Josh Taylor in second, and Cameron Metz in third. Those are our winners from this past weekend at 441 Speedway. And we want to know that Tracy Mims' number 11 car lives on. We will never forget you, Tracy. Great job for all of you that turned out this past Saturday night. Recapping our top story, want to congratulate Tim Chapman. He is our new Assistant Police Chief here in the city of Dublin as of this past Friday. And don't forget to vote. Advanced voting going on through this Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock. You cannot vote next Monday, but the polls will open at 7 o'clock next Tuesday morning, and they'll be open from 7 until 7. Get out and vote. Some important races. Have your voice heard. Thank you for joining us today here on TV 35.